Magazine, the Wall Street Journal, NBC, and many other publications. And now, the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan.
Welcome to Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. Brand new show this week. Tons of great information. And we still got some chaos and craziness in the market. We're just going to dig into that. I didn't do a lot of research. Remember last week's show, we just kind of addressed some of this chaos and craziness and interest rates and the Fed. And so I mean, all these questions, my phone's been blowing up and everyone's asking what's going on. I've been doing news interviews and all kind of stuff. So we'll talk about what's going on, some more data to really help you just kind of understand what's going on, what to look for, and really just kind of put some comments. Say, here's what we're looking at from a data standpoint. Here's what's happening from the market standpoint. Here's what's happening from inventory standpoint. And ideally, from an expert point of view, what's going to happen going forward. So we'll dig into that today and really just go deeper than we did last week, just with some real-time stuff. And some good news and some challenging news and bad news. We'll talk about kind of all that because my job is just to share the data information and help you all make the absolute best decisions possible with your real estate, which is usually for most people one of the largest assets. Also, some big news this week. National announcement came out from this big company called Real Trends. They rank all the top real estate agents, realtors, 1.5 million realtors nationwide, and we came in at number 58, which is awesome. We'll talk about that, what that means. They also had another one that's a part of that called America's Best Real Estate Agents, and our team came in number 1 in Myrtle Beach by double the number 2, which is really cool. So we'll talk about that number and just kind of give a breakdown of what that means and how they do that, which is really cool in that scenario. But we'll talk about that. Some amazing success stories. Our team's been still absolutely crushing it, even though there's a lot less buyers right now in the marketplace and kind of what's happening. There's still a lot of people buying, and we'll break down what type of numbers in terms of week versus week of properties going to contract. We'll talk about the overall market numbers for people that may have missed last week's show. Last week we dug into the micro market. This week I'll give you a quick recap of the macro market. We'll talk about overall interest rates. They've been good. They were up again and they were back down again. We'll talk about where they are right now. We're also seeing some overall price reductions in the market. 1 in 5 homes had a price reduction in May across the country, which is interesting enough. We'll talk about that. So we'll just kind of break down some of the gloom and doom stuff. We'll compare that to, hey, look, how's this investment stacking up against stocks? And we'll just kind of break down, give you some great information to help you make good decisions with. As usual, if you ever want to go back and check any of our shows, there's a podcast. We podcast this on all the major platforms, Apple, obviously on Google. If you just want to search Blake Sloan on there on your phone, you can go back and listen to this, share it with anybody. Also, we're on YouTube. You can just type in Blake Sloan Real Estate or Sloan Realty Group. We'll be on there, all our radio shows, and also on our Facebook page on Sloan Realty Group on Facebook. So you want to check those out. Always go back, watch them, share them with your friends, and we'll be right back here in a second. Yes, and doing this show over 12 plus years, that's the old DNA behind the show. Why we do the show is really just how to try to help you make better decisions. And for some reason, doesn't matter how good they are, how affluent they are, how many properties they bought and sold, they still seem to make this same mistake over and over and over and over. And they as the listeners, they as public. And what it is they make the mistake of thinking that all real estate agents are the same. And it could not be any further from the truth. Just like any doctor, any lawyer, I say it all the time, but I just need to say it again, right? If you're charged with a crime you did not commit, right, that you want to make sure that you can get acquitted of that. The last thing you want is a part-time attorney that's your friend that just got licensed to practice law, right? You want the absolute best, most aggressive attorney who specializes in that type of law to help represent you because you want the most leverage and competitive advantage possible. You should demand the same level of excellence for your largest assets, aka your real estate. But for some reason, you just go with any old agent, a friend of a friend of a friend, and they don't realize that the average agent in our marketplace sells 4 homes a year. 4 homes. You take the amount of homes sold in the entire market, divide that by the amount of agents, comes at 4.3 homes per agent per year, which is not a whole lot. There's not a whole lot of money to eat with, much less spending marketing dollars to get your home the exposure it needs. But for some reason, people just tend to obviously list with anybody or someone who recommends them, and they really need to understand why that matters. Because what happens in the industry, Most agents just do the three P's. Number one, they promise you the world to get the listing. They tell you anything and everything to get the listing, right? Number two, once they get it, they put it into MLS, aka with some photos, use their cell phone photos or something like that. And then three, they just pray that someone else brings a buyer. Meanwhile, they're down the street trying to get the next listing. Why is that? Because they're trying to survive. And so that's how most agents operate. That's how it's been since I've been in the business almost 20 years. And it's one of those things that really, really, really makes a difference because here's the deal. The single most important variable that determines your failure or success as a home seller comes down to one thing only. That thing is the agent that you choose, period. Not your wall color, not your glass quality, not the color of your door, right? It has to do with how does your agent actually execute from A to Z, because every one of those variables, right? Mentioned what happens is, and you're selling a house, there's 118 different variables from A to Z. If each one of those is handled correctly, it puts money in your pocket, property gets sold. Anything's handled incorrectly, AK, they drop the ball at any point. And that could be anything from the quality of the photos, the order of the photos. Does your agent actually answer the telephone when a buyer calls off that for sale sign? We all know most of them don't hardly ever answer the telephone. The response to web leads that come in online, if they do, how long does it take them to respond? What's their negotiation strategy? What data are they using? All these things matter, and they make or break the home sale on the back end. And so what I did is say, look, we know it's impossible for one single agent to juggle all those balls, but for some reason, 95% of agents still try to operate the old school way. You have one agent who's trying to juggle all the balls. They're working with buyers, they're working with sellers, they're trying to do the marketing, they're trying to do their administrative aspect, they're trying to do their closings. And so what happens is you have the same person at McDonald's that's doing the front register, the drive-through, and the French fries at the same time, right? That would be very efficient from a restaurant standpoint, but for some reason, agents still operate the same way every single time. And so what I did, I said, look, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way to execute all those variables. And so that's how we sat down and mapped it out. We know there's 118 different ones. And so I said, how do we take a team of people and technology and make sure we can stack those dominoes up in the right way, that we can knock the right ones over in the right order to give our client a huge competitive advantage? And that's what I did. We hired a huge team of experts. We have what we call a team of specialists, where each person specializes in what they do, versus an overall agent where most agents are generalists. They're just doing everything generally. They're not really executing at a high level on any of those things. So I developed this thing called the Guaranteed Sold System. The only proven system sells twice as fast and for up to 20% more money than traditional methods. And it works very, very, very well. And so what happens is we have technology that we built out, spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on. And what it does is it helps manage the process from A to Z. We know who's assigned that task, what happens, who's supposed to do it, and everything's measured with precision so that we can turn the knobs in the right way. And I can invest a tremendous amount of capital up front on your behalf to get your property the exposure that it needs to bring in more buyers, which guess what it does? It drives up demand and properties sell for more money. And they also sell faster than MLS average. And so that's a system I designed. It's exclusive to us. We license it to some other agents in other parts of the country, but it's exclusive to us here. And so that's how we give our client a huge competitive advantage in the process. And so if you're thinking about selling, you definitely want to check that out, understand what those variables are, and how can you have someone that can manage those for you proactively before they need to be handled that way. So on the flip side, there's 100 plus variables for buyers out there. It's a very, very difficult market to still buy in right now, especially interest rates and low inventory. And so you want to have someone who can give you a competitive advantage. And so what we did is design the same type of system, design this thing called the unfair advantage home buying system, gives you priority access to foreclosures, distress sales, desperate sellers, the absolute best negotiation and purchase price, as well as the home inspection to get you to the closing table comfortably while keeping the most money in your pocket. And so the bottom line is, for anyone listens to this show, you definitely want an expert in guiding you in this process. For usually, like I mentioned, one of your largest assets, don't just go with someone who sells 4 homes a year and think you're going to get expert level advice and expert level guidance. Most people we talked to that had a previous transaction were very, very unhappy with the process. They felt they didn't get the right communication. They weren't guided the right way. They felt like they had to do everything on their own. And that's because the agent had good intentions to help you, but they just didn't have enough time in the day to juggle all those balls. So if you want to know more about that, want to make sure you get excellent service, reach out to me, call us 843-808-SOLD, or go to blakesloan.com anytime.
Here with my trusted friend in the real estate market, Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group. So, what are home sellers? What do they need to know about the market right now? Home sellers need to know the market here on the Grand Strand absolutely on fire. We're seeing record numbers in terms of prices that sellers are getting. It's almost unbelievable. We're seeing hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars coming in the Northeast that are just coming bidding up properties and getting sellers more money than they've ever thought possible. Got it. Now, how will that get them more money? That's going to help get home sellers more money because there's more buyers here than we've ever seen before. But we're not sure how long that's going to last. We've already seen that start to level off a little bit. Some of that interest has started to slow down. So sellers definitely need to take advantage of the super hot market right now before there's any type of shift. All right, as always, thanks for the insight. Call Blake Sloan today at 8-SOLD. That's 808-SOLD. Or online at blakesloan.com. That's blakesloan.com.
Hi, I'm Barbara Barber. I'm excited to connect with Blake Sloan, the only real estate agent in Myrtle Beach that I recommend. You offer several options of home sales with really good success.
That's right. So it's a time rush. You're going to sell it by a certain date, days after your home or even ready.
That's great. And if the seller has a bit more time,
Use our proven marketing plan to sell it for the highest price.
work with my friend Blake Sloan and get the home sold on your terms.
Welcome back to the Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. Some brand new news we talked about a minute ago. Very, very, very proud of. And they have this ranking that comes every year. We talked about it before. We've been on this, many times in the past, but we moved up big time this year. And it's huge news for anybody here in Myrtle Beach area. And this company called Real Trends. They're basically the dominant, most powerful and largest data company that's in the world of real estate. They analyze brokerages, they analyze markets, they analyze market share, they analyze really what's happening all across the entire country with data scientists and all these things they use. They have two main rankings they do every single year to really rank and understand what's happening with the 1.5 million realtors in really North America. And so the two main things they have is this thing called the 1,000. And they've had that for many years now, I think over 10 years. And the 1,000 ranks the top 1,000 agents and teams in order. And they have a couple of different ways they break it down. They have individuals who are a person obviously by themselves, an assistant. They have a small team, which is I think 2 to 3 people, a large team, which is basically 3 to I think 19 or 20. And they have a mega team. A mega team is anybody 21 or more people on it, and they break all those down. Obviously, the larger the team, the more transactions they do. They break it down in 2 ways, volume and also in transactions, which is pretty cool. And so for us, it's been very, very difficult to compete because we're in a small market, right? We're in a small place here in Myrtle Beach where there's not that many sides, not that much real estate versus some of the people that we compete against that are, for example, in Charlotte. They're doing South Carolina, North Carolina, all different areas. We have a couple on there that are doing multiple states. The number one person on there is doing all kind of states. They're doing Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida. And so their teams, though, and they break them into what they call mega teams, like I mentioned. And so we came in at number 58 on the top 1,000 for mega teams, which is huge, right? 788 properties sold. We sold a house every 12 hours in 2021. And that's just something that, is not really about us or me or bragging. So proud of our team and so thankful to you all out there, our listeners who's referred us, our absolute best source of business that we're most proud of, mostly enjoy working with the most are all of our radio listeners, and also anyone that refers someone that they like and trust to us to help serve them. And I really want to thank everyone for sending those people to us, and really our amazing team. We work very, very, very hard on our culture, on our leadership team. Big shout out to Alex Prout on our team, who's really been our sales director and helped us kind of guide this and really grow as a team here, especially being in a very, very, very small market compared to a lot of places that you run into. Really, the top 10 to top 50 are just huge cities like Minneapolis, and they cover hours and hours and hours of ground of just driving to, spread out with hundreds and hundreds of team members. So we do a lot of volume, a lot of numbers with the smaller team, which is awesome in a smaller market. The second piece to have of that, which is really cool, is America's Best Real Estate Professionals. Both of those reports are published in the Wall Street Journal. Their partnership with Wall Street Journal since the very beginning. And it's really kind of their ranking, but it's really cool. It says Real Trends is now its 10th year, honors America's finest real estate agents and teams across the country. Almost 24,000 U.S. sales associates from every state are on the America's Best list. They're the top 1.49% of more than 1.6 million realtors nationwide, which is pretty cool. And so on that list, we ranked in number 1 in Myrtle Beach. By that, and they rank everything from a team to a mega team. We're obviously a mega team, and we were double the number 2 team there, and so very, very, very proud of that. And so anyone out there. A lot of agents claim to be number one, or they always say they're number one in their office or whatever it is. Their mom said they're number one. In this scenario, it's data certified number one team here in Myrtle Beach. I'm very, very proud of, and that's something that we work very hard of. And it comes down to what we mentioned: those systems and processes, our guaranteed sold system, the unfair advantage home buying system, and really the commitment to excellence our team has. So very, very proud of that. Thankfully, everyone there. We'll post all these on our Facebook for you all to see and check out, which is pretty cool. So very thankful for everyone. Anyone out there, that the best thing that we really ask for is just send us referrals. Anyone you talk to, if you like them, don't like them, say, look, you got to use my buddy Blake. Their team's number one here in the area, and we love to make sure that we take care of them. So moving on really quick, I want to get to the big news in real estate. It's been chaotic. We'll talk about a whole section at the end of what's happening overall in terms of real estate in general. But looking at the market numbers, I'm going to give you the two types of data. We always talk about this. We have the rear view mirror data, the data that closed. Those are data that closed last month, and they went under contract 30 to 60 days prior. Because what happens is buyer makes an offer, they get financing, get appraisal, do the home inspection. Usually takes 30 to 60 days to get to the closing table. So that data sometimes can be a little bit outdated if you want to know what's happening real time. And so one thing we started doing on the show here during COVID, during the initial lockdowns, is we started kind of looking at, hey, look, what's going under contract every 7 days. And we started looking at inventory. And so inventory started drying up there. And during one of the, I guess, the scariest parts of the COVID lockdown, there's like 375 properties under contract per week. But that was during the time where you couldn't even get a hotel room, because you could basically, remember, they had everybody locked out. We had people sleeping in cars buying stuff back then. So here's the deal. The last 7 days, 502 properties under contract for $171,927,000. Now, compare that to last week's radio show. I track this weekly for y'all. 567 under contract with $189 million. So if you look at that, you're looking almost 18 million different in terms of real estate sold in the last 7 days, and it went from 502 from 567 to 502. So significant drop there in terms of properties. About 65 less properties under contract this 7 days versus the previous 7 days. Now, here's the deal. Go back the week before that, 580 under contract for $208 million. Week before that, 522, which is really weird, $211 million. But here's the deal. If you go back 6 weeks ago, 690 properties under contract, $215 million, which is interesting. And so back then, 6 weeks ago, there's only 382 properties active on the market, which is interesting, right? This morning, there were 625 properties active on the market. And so if you look 6 weeks ago, the properties active in Horry County that are resale properties went from 382 up to 625. So what you're seeing is inventory is rising, and you're also seeing the amount of sales going down, right? From over 215 million down to 171 million. You can see the drop there. And obviously it's a direct correlation to what happens with interest rates. As interest rates rise and less buyers can afford it, less buyers are making moves. And so it is something to watch and see overall in terms of what's going. The good news is we still have 15 properties over $1 million go under contract last 7 days. 72 properties over 1,000 closed in last. Go out of a lot of money here. We just closed a $1.78 million property in the Grand Dunes. We have a buyer from non-local came in, bought with us cash. So there's still a lot of big properties moving, a lot of luxury stuff. You're seeing a lot of big money move here, and obviously place that here for long term. Now, really quick, looking at the overall market numbers for anybody that missed last week's show. If you look at the rear view mirrors, these are ones that closed. So these are May. They closed. 609 properties closed last month for a 12.8% decrease from the same month last year. So if you look at May of 2021, 698 properties closed. May this year, it was 609 properties. The only thing to look at that's a little bit, they do look at these numbers year versus year. So look at May versus May because it is a seasonal market. But if you look at from March until May, it's declining significantly. So March, we had 702 home sales. In April, down to 653. And then in May, 609. And so you are seeing a significant decline in terms of the amount of property sold. Excuse me, something definitely to watch out for there overall. The good news is price is still up. Price is up significantly. But remember, price is a lagging indicator, meaning that it's all supply and demand driven, right? And the lag indicator is price, usually 3 to 4 months behind, sometimes a little longer as that happens. And so right now, price, a new record of 31.6% from the same month last year. which is awesome. So if you look at right now, median price for resale homes, 380,000. Last year is 288,800. So almost a full $100,000 difference in extra equity for homeowners from the same time last year. If you look at average sale price up 21.1% from last year. Right now, $475,440. The only thing to kind of notice or look at here is it is a slight decline from from April. So April was 486,984. It dropped in May, the month later, to 475,440. So about a $10,000 drop in average sale price. And so that's just something to kind of watch and see what happens overall. The one other crazy number that is something I'm watching with detail is inventory, the months of supply. The months of supply is up 36.4% from the same time last year. So right now at 1.5 months of inventory, which is very, very interesting to kind of look back. If you look at last year, May is at 1.1. We are our lowest kind of right around January, late December, January. It was at 0.9 months. And so right now at 1.5, it's still considered a super seller's market. There's still very, very, very low inventory. That's something we'll talk about here in a minute that I think is going to help protect price a little bit, just having low inventory going forward. But it is something to keep watching. And the other thing that we're noticing is buyer traffic down significantly. So buyer traffic almost off a cliff since March when you started seeing rates go up. Right now, it's down 23.4% from the same time last year. And so right now, 23.4% less showings than we saw the same time last year. And so if I'm a home seller and I want to cash out at the top of the market, I would probably think maybe, hey, look, we're starting to see prices soften. We're starting to see more price reductions. And so you probably want to think about getting that property on the market ASAP, waiting for that thing to scrape the top. I do foresee rates continuing to rise, and it may soften that. The wild card and the question is going to be, does price start to decline? And if it does, how much? I do think we'll probably see it dip just a little bit, and we'll definitely see price acceleration where it was obviously constantly climbing, slow down a little bit as well. So interesting numbers here. Into condos really quick. Overall condo sales also down 26.2% at 625 condos. If you look just last year, in May of last year, 847 condos. So significant decline in terms of actual condos closed. Overall price there, prices up huge. This is probably one of the scariest numbers in terms of what's happened in the last 12 months. If you look at condo prices, the last 12 months, up 48.8% versus the same time last year, which is crazy. If you looked at just May of last year, it was 162 for the median price. Right now, 241. So big jump. And that's something that's just not sustainable. To see a 50% increase in condo values every 12 months is just something that's not really sustainable, which is why I think we're probably going to see some type of correction here. And you probably will see it soften here a little bit in terms of price overall. Average sale price up 40.5% in the last 12 months, May versus May, $276,647. Overall, inventory is definitely bumping up. It's kind of where it was last year, but it did hit a bottom this year in February of 0.6 months inventory. Right now, it's up to 1.3 months inventory. And so we are seeing a flood of more condos come on the market. And the same thing there, showings per listing is down 16.7%. And so the overall numbers look at price is still going up, but you are seeing it soften. The average price for homes did drop last month a little bit, but we are seeing buyer traffic down between 15 and 25% based on what's happening. I do think we'll continue to see that happen because our Google and our online traffic that we're paying for is down about 20% so far. And so it's going to depend what happens with rates going up, how much they go up. We're still seeing a lot of people buy, which is great. Looking at rates right now, overall rate is 6.07%. Last week's show was 6.05%, so not a big jump there. A 15-year fixed rate right now, 5.44%. A 30-year jumbo loan, 5.15%. A 5-year ARM, 5.38%. An FHA loan right now for 30 years, 5.58%. And the 30-year VA loan, 5.70%. So still not too much. Still a lot of opportunity. If you're a home buyer, there's more inventory, more things to choose from. We did kind of go back to that stalemate where people wouldn't buy. They wouldn't sell because they couldn't find anything to buy. Now there's things for you to buy, and you can still sell and get your property sold. So if you've been on the sidelines or kind of waiting, or you're worried about finding something else to buy, now's still a very good time to move up, to move down, or laterally, because there's a lot more homes in the market. If you want to know more how that works, or really just talk more about your situation, reach out, call me, 843-808-SOLD or BlakeSloan.com anytime. Be right back.
As investors in real estate, Buck and I both know exactly what to look for to find the agent with the best tools and marketing To get the highest sales price possible.
You'll have about 3.5 minutes left, something like that.
Can we cut that last one
Unless
out?
I cut the commercial.
Let's cut that last one out if I can.
So yeah.
Oh, we'll cut the last one out.
I might play the music underneath of you, but remember when you hear that, you don't have to cut off immediately. You still got a minute to talk, so you'll be okay.
Okay. Just give me the hand signal. Okay.
Yeah.
There's simply no other agent in the market who has a guarantee that will line up against what Blake Sloan can offer you. So when you are looking to sell and buy, he is your guy. Read nearly 750 five-star reviews by Googling Sloan Realty Group. Give Blake a call today and start packing. That's Sloan Realty Group. And tune in to Blake's shows Saturdays at 9 a.m. and Sundays at 11:30 a.m.
Welcome back to Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. Our hot buyers alert. My team and I are working with a ridiculous amount of home buyers who are looking for homes here in the Myrtle Beach, Grand Strand area from $250,000 to $4.3 million. If you're thinking about selling, contact us immediately. 843-808-SOLD. That's 843-808-SOLD. One thing we've been doing here for a very, very long time, like I said, probably 10 plus years, is putting our money where our mouth is. And one thing we do is say, look, we don't wait to put a sign in the yard to start marketing for buyers. I'm spending tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars every month to drive traffic online and help generate buyers for your property before you ever call us. And so one thing we do every week is we share our real-time numbers of how many active buyers that we have looking for property here on the Grand Strand. And right now, 68,415 active home buyers. Again, that's 68,415 active home buyers. I get that question all the time. Well, Blake, why should I use you versus my friend who's got the real estate license or my friend down the street who I promised I was going to sell with? Well, the reality is they don't usually start marketing until they get the property, put the listing up, they put the for sale sign, and then they hope someone's going to bring a buyer. With our model, we outspend the average agent 100 to 1 from a marketing standpoint, spending so much money before you ever call me. I have this thing called buyers in waiting. And so we have real buyers. There's a username, password, account. Like that's 68,000. That's not really people that hits. Those are accounts, username, password, and they're logging in, searching on our site all the time. Like right now on the site, I have Charles Davis from Longs. I got George Woolfield from Princeton, West Virginia. I got Wanda from Dover, New Hampshire. I got Dale from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Courtney from Atwater, Georgia. I got Dover Plains, New York. I got Beltsville, Maryland. Canton, Ohio, and so all over the place that we have. And so if you're thinking about selling, don't go the old school way, right? Don't go the 8-track tape way where you go get a friend to put a sign in the yard and hope a buyer comes. We have buyers in waiting. We can use that to drive up demand and drive up the price and get you the maximum amount of money for your home very, very easily. Really quick couple success stories. Vicky and Tom, they're past clients of ours who own a condo in Myrtle Beach. They used a vacation home, recently decided that they want to upgrade their vacation home to a single family home at the beach. Their biggest concern was paying capital gains tax on the property, since they would obviously make so much money in the property. It was worth a lot more than they purchased it. We helped Vicky and Tom get in touch with one of our tax professionals who share with them the different options they had to take the money from the sale of their condo and use every bit of it towards the purchase of the new property without having to pay capital gains at all this time. We came in, designed a custom plan, launched low marketing blitz, professional photos, the virtual reality tour within just a few days of massive traffic, had Vicky and Tom an offer on their property that was more than what any other unit had sold for in that complex. Now they can move on all their profits and move that into a new vacation home. Also, Brenda Home in Myrtle's Inlet has recently decided it's time for the downsize, get closer to family. One of the most important factors is selling and buying a new home at the same time, making it easy as possible. We share with her how we can handle these situations all the time and get her home sold top dollar and fast. I designed a custom plan, launched a global marketing blitz, professional photos, virtual reality walkthrough. Within a couple of days, had her an offer and negotiated a time frame that will allow Brenda to sell her current home, move into a new home, at the same time making this seamless process for her. Now she can enjoy her new home and be closer to family and put maximum money in her pocket. If you want to be one of those success stories, reach out to me, call me, 843-808-SOLD. The market's changing big time. Reach out to a true expert, 843-808-SOLD or BlakeSloan.com anytime. See you guys later. Any questions you have, let us know. Post them.